Servers Part 2, Email and Proxy Servers. An email server stores and supplies incoming and outgoing email to users, and possibly to other email servers. Common usages include POP3 accounts, IMAP accounts, and HTTPS connections within a web browser. An email server might handle the sending of data, the receiving of data, or both. For the A+ exams, you should know how to connect a client to an email server. This is done by using appropriate email client software, such as Outlook, and knowing the server name, protocols and ports to be used, the username and password, and whether there is any additional security involved. One common example of an email server is Microsoft Exchange. So very common to have that with a Windows server. And so if we look here, we have our LAN and we have our client computers. And we have two email servers. One here, which is located in the DMZ area on this side of the firewall. And one over here that's just on the internet, out on the cloud. And you might have either of these in your company or organization, and there's different reasons for these. You might want to have your email server internally for various reasons, and if you did, you'd want to protect that to a certain extent by placing it on the DMZ. You don't want it on the LAN. This way, clients on the LAN can access the email server, but those clients on the LAN are protected by the firewall. Also, clients out on the cloud, out on the internet, can access the email server as well, if necessary. People working from home, people on the road. Or the email server could be stored on the internet, on the cloud, all together, and people access it from wherever they are, at the workplace, at home, on the road, and so on. And so you configure the client computer's software, like Outlook or whatever it is that you're using to connect out to the email server. And so let's say we were just configuring a POP3 account. We'd have to set that up here, and we would need to know the email server's name, for example, mail.example.com. And we'd need to know that mail server name for POP3 and also for SMTP. Then we'd need to know the port numbers that those protocols are using. So for example, for secure POP3, that would be 995. For secure SMTP, that would be 465. And then the username and password, and then we'd be able to connect through to get our email over the internet or through the LAN to our DMZ, wherever that email server is stored. Now, a proxy server is used primarily as a go-between for the client and the website accessed. It's commonly used to cache information so that another user accessing the same web page won't have to get it from the internet because it already exists on the proxy server, which increases general performance and efficiency. Most commonly, it's used with HTTP and HTTPS, but it can be used by other protocols as well, such as FTP and also SMTP with email servers. Examples of this include Squid, also Apache Web Server with the appropriate proxy add-on, Wingate, and the proxy role in Windows Server. So you could use a Windows Server for that as well. So let's show how this works. Here we have some computers on the local area network, and we have a proxy server here as well. So let's say that one of these computers wanted to go to a website, and we'll just use example.com as the example. That computer would go through the proxy server every time, and then out to the internet and out to that website. That web information, that website page would be stored at the proxy server and then forwarded to this client. Later, if another computer wanted to go to that same web server, it wouldn't actually have to go out to the internet to get that homepage information because that is stored at the proxy server. So that information would be forwarded by the proxy server to this client, and it'll effectively be faster and more efficient because of that. Now, on the client side, first of all, you have to have the server set up to do this, but you'd have to make the connections from the client side as well. So to do that in Windows, you would go to your Internet properties, which you can get to from the browser or from the control panel. You would go to Connections, then you'd go to LAN Settings, and then you would select Proxy Server. Use a proxy server for your LAN, and that's for this individual client. Then you'd need to know the IP address of that proxy server, or the name, so that you could connect. And you type in the IP address and the ports you want to use with that proxy server. If we click on Advanced, we'll see we have multiple options here. We could do HTTP, which is normally port 80, Secure, meaning SSL or TLS, which is normally port 443, FTP, and so on. Again, you just need to know the name or the IP address of that proxy server and the ports that it is using internally on the inbound side to allow those connections. Once that's done, that connectivity can be made from this computer through the proxy server, and you would set that up on each of the clients. Now, proxy can also be used in reverse. To protect a web server, an organization might implement a reverse proxy. This device is placed within the area of the network where that web server resides. Requests from clients on the internet are forwarded by the reverse proxy to the web server. This way, the clients are unaware of the web server's actual identity. Reverse proxies can also be used for encrypting the web session through the internet, and also load balancing, where client requests can be distributed to multiple web servers. Let's say we had a very busy website. We might have 3 web servers that are mirrors of the same website. The reverse proxy would select the web server that's being used the least at the current time. So it balances the load between web servers, especially when there's a lot of traffic over the internet to that website. Now remember, the A+ exams don't require in-depth knowledge of servers, but make sure that you know the basics when it comes to email servers and proxy servers and their locations on the network.